If you hand me $1 billion to build a brand new corporate headquarters today, I can guarantee you a negative 12% return on your investment, almost immediately. It sounds completely insane, doesn't it? Every giant corporation on Earth spent billions of dollars racing to construct these massive, glittering, glass monoliths across city skylines. We look at them and think that company must be absolutely printing money. But on Wall Street, behind closed doors, smart money analysts see something entirely different, a giant financial landmine waiting to detonate. Why would the most sophisticated executives in the world willingly pour billions into an asset that instantly bleeds cash? The answer lies inside a hidden financial loophole that almost no average investor knows exists. But if you misunderstand how it works, it will completely destroy your company by the time you finish listening. You will see these massive towers for what they truly are, high-stakes debt vehicles, disguised as corporate monuments. Let's look at the actual balance sheet mechanics, because this is where the grand illusion begins. When a company decides to build a flagship headquarters, they aren't just buying steel and glass, they are fundamentally changing how Wall Street measures their value. Suppose a tech company takes $2 billion out of its cash reserves to construct a state-of-the-art campus. If they keep that money in cash or short-term treasuries, it earns reliable, risk-free interest. The moment they pour that cash into concrete, that money is frozen, it becomes capital expenditure, CapEx. And CapEx is a silent killer of short-term liquidity. The building sits on the balance sheet as an illiquid fixed asset, but here is the catch: concrete doesn't generate quarterly revenue. You can't sell a piece of the lobby to pay your engineers next month, and while that $2 billion sits frozen in structural columns, the company is hit with massive annual operational expenses, maintenance, security, property taxes, and utility bills that run into tens of millions of dollars every single year. So, why do Wall Street analysts sometimes cheer when a company drops billions on a campus? Because of a deadly serious financial game called the yield spread. If a corporation can borrow money at 3% and use a physical HQ campus to drive operational efficiencies that boost core profit margins by 6%, they just unlocked a massive net positive spread. It sounds like a bulletproof strategy, right? Well, that is precisely where the trap snaps shut, because if interest rates jump or if employee productivity drops, that spread collapses into negative territory instantly. And once a corporate headquarters starts bleeding cash, you can't just list it on eBay and get your money back the next morning. Which leads us directly to a terrifying question. What happens when the debt service on a giant glass tower suddenly outpaces the cash flow of the company inside it? To answer that, we have to look at one of the most dramatic real-world corporate meltdowns in modern history, back in the early 1970s. Sears was the absolute undisputed titan of global retail. They were so dominant, so incredibly wealthy, that they decided to build the tallest skyscraper on planet Earth, the Sears Tower in Chicago. It was designed to be the ultimate statement of corporate power, a physical monument to an empire that seemed entirely invincible. They poured hundreds of millions of dollars into its construction, tying up massive amounts of executive attention and capital. But while Sears was busy obsessing over floor plans, elevator speeds, and architectural prestige, a quiet revolution was happening in the retail world. Leaner, hungrier competitors like Walmart were building ultra-efficient distribution networks, focusing every single penny on low prices and supply chain speed. Sears had locked billions of dollars into high-maintenance real estate, precisely when they needed that capital to transform their business model. The tower became an anchor dragging down the entire company. Annual maintenance and operating costs burned through their retail margins, while the shift toward modern shopping left their massive monument functionally obsolete for their core strategy. They didn't just lose their spot as America's top retailer. They entered a decades-long death spiral that eventually ended in bankruptcy. The Sears Tower was eventually stripped of its original name, sold off to outside investors, leaving behind a brutal lesson for Wall Street. An iconic headquarters cannot save a failing business model, but it can certainly accelerate its execution. Now, you might be thinking, that was the 1970s. Modern tech companies and conglomerates are way smarter than that, right? Look at what happened with WeWork. They didn't even build towers from scratch, they signed long-term, high-yield master leases on billions of dollars worth of prime global real estate for their headquarters and locations. They projected an image of infinite growth, spending lavishly on ultra-luxurious corporate spaces. They took on fixed, rigid, decades-long financial commitments while relying on short-term, highly volatile flexible memberships from freelancers and startups. When the market shifted, those massive lease liabilities became an existential threat. Their valuation didn't just drop, It plunged from $47 billion straight into Chapter 11 bankruptcy because in real estate, debt never takes a vacation. If your revenue drops by 30%, your landlord or your bondholders still expect 100% of their payment on the first of the month. So, how do the world's most profitable corporations survive this trap? How do companies like Apple or Google drop billions on massive campuses without destroying their balance sheets? They use a secret operational playbook called engineered immersion. Step inside a $5 billion modern corporate campus, and you will realize almost immediately nothing here is placed by accident. Every single walkway, every staircase, every cafeteria is calculated down to the precise millimeter to manipulate human behavior and maximize corporate yield. This is where architecture meets cold-blooded financial engineering. Take a look at the layout of modern megacampuses. They intentionally design these spaces with centralized amenities, placing the top-tier restaurants, gym facilities, health clinics, and coffee bars directly in the middle of giant structural rings or towers. Why? Because it forces high-cost engineers, product managers, and executives to walk through high-traffic central hubs multiple times a day. In workplace design, this is known as the collision rate. When a senior AI developer accidentally runs into a lead hardware engineer at a coffee bar, and they spend 10 minutes talking about a technical bottleneck, that spontaneous conversation can solve a problem that would have taken 6 weeks of formal meetings to resolve. Multiplied across 15,000 employees, high collision rates add hundreds of millions of dollars in hidden operational velocity, but there is an even deeper, darker economic strategy at play. By providing free gourmet food, laundry services, childcare, and luxury commuting shuttles with high-speed Wi-Fi, the company effectively erases the boundary between work life and personal life. If an employee never has to leave the campus to run personal errands or cook dinner, they naturally work an extra 12 to 15 hours every single week without demanding a pay raise. To the human resources department, it looks like a wonderful perk. To a financial analyst, it is a masterclass in extracting maximum labor value per square foot of real estate. They aren't spending billions on luxurious offices to make employees happy. They are spending billions to build a gilded cage that pays for itself through unrecorded overtime. Now, let's run the ultimate financial simulation scenario and look at the raw, unvarnished numbers to see if a corporate headquarters ever actually pays off. Imagine an enterprise software firm deciding to build a $1 billion headquarters. Total upfront capital cost $1 billion, financed partly through low-interest corporate bonds, annual operational costs including taxes, insurance, security, and facilities management $40 million every year. If this building generates $0 in direct revenue, how does the chief financial officer justify this investment to the board of directors? Through 3 specific financial levers. Lever number 1, tax depreciation. Under corporate tax law, companies can depreciate the cost of commercial real estate over decades, deducting tens of millions of dollars directly from their taxable income every single year. Lever number 2, sale-leaseback arbitrage. Once the campus is built and fully occupied, the company can turn around and sell the entire physical structure to a real estate investment trust for $1–2 billion. Capturing an instant $200 million profit on construction, they then lease the building back for 30 years, turning a giant capital asset into a tax-deductible operational expense. Lever number 3, labor efficiency gains. If the engineered immersion layout boosts overall corporate output by just 2% across a $5 billion payroll, that adds $100 million in net annual productivity. When you plug all 3 levers into a financial model, the payback period drops from 50 years down to roughly 12 years. It is a brilliant, elegant, hyper-profitable financial machine if everything goes according to plan. But here is the ultimate, terrifying truth that keeps corporate treasurers awake at night. We live in an era of rapid digital transformation, remote work, and shifting global markets. A business model can change completely in 36 months. But a multi-billion-dollar concrete tower is locked in place for 50 years. When a company builds a massive headquarters, they are making an arrogant financial bet. They are betting that the world will stay exactly the same long enough for their building to pay itself off. And as history repeatedly proves to Wall Street, that is the most dangerous bet a corporation can ever make. The next time you drive past a giant, gleaming corporate headquarters towering over the highway, don't just admire the architecture, look past the glass and the polished stone. Look at the balance sheet beneath it, and ask yourself the ultimate financial question. Is that building a powerful asset fueling an economic empire, or is it a multi-billion-dollar monument to corporate vanity? Counting down the days until the numbers finally catch up with it.